Hey. What's up? What's up? How you doing? How's everybody? Yeah. So, like you said, it's gonna do our diddy, huh? Why not, right? So wait, I just wanted to say fuck you. Um, so where were we? Oh, I was just introducing this podcast, this show. It's 6 p.m. It's February 8th. Hey Lisa, it's the year 2021. And this is a podcast which is simultaneously podcast on Ken Goldberg's Law and Disorder YouTube channel at the same time that it's podcast on my personal Facebook page. Hey, yo, what's up, Sam? It's good to see you. So I actually, hey Sean, how are you? I actually stalled the show for a minute to go cuss out some guy. I want to tell you what the story is. Yo, Ray Dean. So earlier today, somebody posted that somebody went into a Target and was harassing the lady cleaning the carts, and they didn't want to put on a mask. They're in Iowa. You don't have to put on a mask in Iowa anymore. The governor, a crazy governor, released all the regulations and restrictions. It's just recommended. So the employee, according to this post, has on a mask, cleaning carts, and some guy's yelling at her, right? So, somebody else says, so I yelled at him. Anyways, this post goes on Facebook and somebody says, hey, Donna, Rose, Kathy, somebody posts and says, I had a very similar problem and it's a real shame these poor retail employees can be confronted with this kind of hostility. And some guy wrote this crazy response, and I'm going to read it to you because I responded. Before I tell you what I said, I want to read you what he said. So first thing he says is, and you tell me how you feel about this, okay? Why feel bad for them? Talking about the businesses, right? Any business on private property has and he puts in capital letters, power to deny, capital letters, any person, for capital letters, any reason. No reason to feel bad for someone who wields that kind of power. Again, so I won't tell you which ones are caps that distracts. Why feel bad for them? Question mark. Any business on private property has the power to deny any person for any reason. No reason to feel bad for someone who wields that kind of power. Now, this is somebody who's got some issues, right? So I said something like, how crazy is that statement? The lady cleaning the carts has power? And then I said something profane. So the guy writes back just about a few minutes ago, don't act like an idiot unless you are one. The business has the power to prohibit entry to any person for any reason. That's the law, COVID or not. And so I just told him, go screw yourself. But my response is really irrelevant. Hi, Mark and Ann and Rachel. How does somebody actually come to the conclusion that if you have a business, you have power, you have authority, right? I have the authority to tell you if you don't comply with what I require for you, no shirts, no shoes, no service, right? I can ask you to leave. That's not power. That's authority. A policeman has authority, but if he's getting his ass kicked, he hasn't got a lot of power unless he gets on his radio, right? If you're a big man, which they kind of describe this guy, and you're yelling at a retail person who's cleaning the carts at Target, that person has no power. So why would anybody get Facebook and act as if you are the business, your representatives can do whatever they want, COVID or not? I'd slap the guy. Personally, I would slap the guy that was yelling at the cart cleaner. I would slap the guy that comes onto Facebook and tells me I'm the idiot, right? Because he's already stated the obvious that the business has the power and there's no reason to feel bad for the business. I feel bad for everybody I see in these businesses. I don't see it so much in Texas anymore because, I don't know, 3, 4 months ago, Governor Abbott finally mandated masks. Now, there's variations from county to county, but statewide, retail businesses have to have masks. People have to have masks. And that's really helped a lot. But before that, I consistently saw people without masks in counties where it was not mandated and the state didn't mandate, and people breathing on these cashiers, these kids sitting there having to check you out while you breathe on them, right? And everyone that I spoke to, every cashier that I spoke to was upset about how the system was and the fact that they were being exposed possibly to COVID every day, all day. So, if you want to act as if some kid at the cash register can look up, see you without your mask, and kick you out of the place, yes, technically they can. Yes, they have the authority to, right? But as some 20-year-old kid who's in college and is working part-time at the barbecue place, like I did, how do you feel about that group of 10 that just went by you without a mask? And he says, it scares me, right? That's what I got from every clerk, even in stores that mandated, REI mandated at the height of pandemic, and they still do. You cannot enter the store. So what they had was they had people standing outside. REI had employees outside, and they would make sure you had a mask or you couldn't go in. They made sure only so many people were in the store at a time. You couldn't go in until somebody left, and then somebody got to go in. 2 somebody's out, 2 somebody's in. So they were being pretty careful. And they had a box of masks. They'd give you a mask if you didn't have one. Pretty equitable. So I go in, I'm doing a return. I go right to the cashier. Guy down there, and I probably talked about this months ago when it happened, he has lowered his mask completely to sip his drink. Now, they don't sell drinks at REI. That's not a drink he bought at REI. He brought this drink in, this tall drink with the straw, and he's sitting there talking to the cashier with his mask completely down. Then he sets the drink down. They're trying to figure out something. So let's say this is a package. There's an issue with this. And so he leans into the clerk, no mask, and now they're discussing this item. I don't know what the discussion was. And I asked the lady in front of me, how is that possible? The cashier in front of me. And they're adults. These aren't kids. REI doesn't hire 15-year-olds to work the register. They hire people that know something about outdoor stuff. They're adults, and they tend to be fit. And yet she said, what can we do? What can we do? Well, your business mandates everybody's supposed to wear a mask, and the government's mandating everybody wear a mask. You could do something, but they don't want to get involved. They're intimidated. They're concerned that, the business will get mad at them. But whatever it is, screw you if you're the person that's going to side ever with a maskless person. Ever. Until further notice, if you find an opportunity, an encounter between 2 human beings, and you advocate for the maskless human being, screw you. That's my position. And it should be everybody's position. If you come out without a mask today into a retail establishment anywhere within the continental United States, the entire United States, you should be ostracized by everybody. Forget the person cleaning the cart. A lot of times, do you know this? Some of you do. The person cleaning the cart happens to be mentally disabled. And Target and Kroger and Tom Thumb, lots of these businesses for those basic positions, they hire people that have some sort of mental handicap. And that person's supposed to say, don't yell at me, I'm just cleaning the cart? No, screw you. You yell at somebody like that, and I'm in the vicinity. You just yelled at me. You got to deal with me now. I don't care who you are. I don't care how big you are. I don't care what race, sex, whatever you are. You yell at that person, you yelled at me. And if we all took that attitude, eventually, no matter who it is, they're going to back down when the crowd turns. Because I'm going to tell you, I know the nature of the bullies. I have backed up the bullies many, many times. I've whooped the bully enough times to know all you got to do is show resistance. Typically, that is adequate. Now, one person resisting may not be enough. Sometimes the crowd has to turn on you. We are the crowd, ladies and gentlemen. We are the population that must actually get in and enforce this kind of activity. We can't rely upon these kids, man. We can't leave them at the mercy of crazy maskless people. So please, if you see it happening, don't get your ass kicked. I mean, I'm not going to get my ass kicked. If I do, I'll come up here, I'll have a black eye, and I'll tell you I made a mistake, but it was the right mistake to make. I'm not getting my ass kicked. If you're not in a position where you feel comfortable that you can do it, don't do it. But please understand when I say this is a community task. Everybody in the community. And if somebody like this guy, and I don't know him, he's a friend of the friend that I posted on, says, oh, they've got the power, you don't feel bad for the business, then the simple reply, screw you, is adequate. I'm not going to get into power and authority with an idiot like that. You know, I save my arguments now, my desire to persuade with people who show some sensibilities so that I believe that you can be persuaded. If you're demonstrating something idiotic nowadays, in the era of Trump and post-Trump, then there's no point. We're not going to debate. We're not going to conversate. We're not going to negotiate. No. I will tell you what you need to do. And if necessary, I will have you do it. I will just make you do it. Otherwise, there's no discussion. I'll walk away. I'll ignore you, whatever it is. I might cuss you out. Doesn't matter. Ignorance or stupidity doesn't matter anymore. We all know, everybody who hears the sound of my voice tonight, every one of you is smart enough and you've been around long enough to know everything that has been said about COVID-19, about the pandemic, about how we go about limiting, especially while so many of us are not vaccinated yet. It means you cover your face all the time you're around other persons, even friends and family. It means you keep socially distanced. It means that you wash your hands frequently. That's what you do. And after you've been inoculated, you know what you do. You wear a mask, you keep social distance, and you wash your hands regularly. Because we don't know yet what the positive and or negative effects of being inoculated. We're not sure exactly what's going to happen. What we seem to know is you won't get as sick as. That's right now, that's the boundary that you've been given when you get inoculated 2 times. That if you are exposed to COVID-19 and if you actually are symptomatic, if you've been inoculated, the probability is you will not require hospitalization. You might not even get real sick. Okay? That's what you bargained for. This is a biological pandemic. There is no control over the biological virus. There is an attempt, an educated scientific attempt to control the ill effects of this biological attack, but there's no stopping it. You don't stop a virus of this nature. You combat it by inoculating people. The flu, we don't stop the flu. We get a flu shot every year if you're smart, if you ask me, unless you just don't get flu. A lot of people say, oh, I never get the shot, never get the flu. Well, then bless you. Me, I always got the flu, so instead I always get inoculated. But they've never called me down to the doctor's office and said, we've got a shot for you, and if you take it, you're never going to get flu again. We're going to eliminate flu. They did that with chickenpox. They did that with mostly with measles and scarlet fever and things like that. This This type of virus just continues to come back and mutate. Every September, you may see every drugstore saying, come in and get your COVID booster shot. That may be required. And it's so frustrating because people are like, oh, did you hear when Fauci said like 3 months ago, he said, something. And it's like, Fauci didn't make any mistakes. Fauci gave you the best information he could at the time. Forget Fauci's, Sanjay Gupta, whoever it is, the head of epidemiology at Emory, the head of epidemiology at the Minnesota University. If you listen to the scientists, and if they're being honest with you, at this point, we are all old enough and experienced enough to know what they have told us. There is no true release from COVID-19. There is coexistence with COVID-19. It will do its thing and it will keep doing its thing. And we hope at this point, really, to stop the fatalities, number one, and the horrible ill effects. A 9-year-old boy died this week. Woke up one day feeling sick, next day having trouble breathing, next day dead. 9-year-old kid, okay? That's why we're getting inoculated. That's why we're wearing masks. That's why we're social distancing, so that when we're sitting around talking a year from now, 6 months from now, whatever it is, we're not going through all the young people or aged people or anybody who died as a result of COVID-19. We'll be talking about them like the flu. We'll be saying, yeah, Jerry got COVID-19. He was sick for a week. He's okay now. That's the conversations we want to have. We want to stop having a conversation about 465,000 dead in the United States alone. That is not a worldwide figure, okay? And while we are busy getting inoculated, places like Africa are way behind the curve because they're not being delivered vaccines as quickly as we are. So this pandemic, global, worldwide, that's why we call it pandemic, is infiltrating all over the globe. And what happens, no matter what we do, with our 465,000 dead, and I don't know how many million have been sick right now, but unless you arrest it globally, not eliminate it, we are going to continue to not only be visited by it and reinfected by it, we're going to continue to find that there are mutations. And there's going to be mutations right here, because a significant amount of our population is either one, anti-vaccine, two, unable to get the vaccine, or three, they are in a vaccine desert. Nobody's even offering it. A lot of you are ready, willing, and able to get vaccinated, and you qualify under some measure. But now I see Sean. Sean is here. I don't know. I've looked at her on Facebook. She can't be old enough to get the vaccine. I am. I'm 68, so I qualify. I have friends younger than 65 who have comorbidity. But if you're under 65, you look healthy, you are healthy, such as I suspect Sean is, then you're not going to even be offered the vaccine at this point. In fact, make me crazy, make me nuts. They raided a clinic in Georgia and confiscated all their vaccine. The government did this. The Georgia government did this because the clinic was inoculating teachers in addition to the other 1As and 1Bs. So they were inoculating people over 65. They were inoculating frontline workers. But this clinic felt that under the essential worker rule, because when you have a clinic and you receive vaccine, apparently you sign a contract with the feds because they're paying for this vaccine. You're signing a contract with them that this is how it will be dispensed in accordance with the rules and regulations as identified by the CDC or the FDA. So when they called the head of the clinic up and said, are you inoculating teachers? And the doctor said, he told him, yeah, yeah. And 2 days later, the Georgia Bureau of Investigation showed up and confiscated all the vaccine and withdrew their certification to administer. I guess they left them with enough vaccine for people who are rescheduled to come back for their second shot because teachers aren't considered essential workers. Now, I've been watching the news day in and day out, and if you told me a teacher couldn't get the vaccine now, even though they were under 65, even though they didn't have comorbidity, if they were going to be returning to a classroom, I would have said, well, of course, they must be able to get vaccine. I mean, any of you who are following the news know that in Chicago, the teachers union was threatening to strike because the mayor said you're going to have to go back to work. We're going to open up the schools. The president wants the schools open. Everybody wants schools open. And the teachers union is like, well, we don't want to get sick and die. Okay, that's reasonable. What do you need? Well, they need certain things, and I guess they've reached some sort of agreement. One of the things they need, one of the things they want was inoculations. That sounds very reasonable to me. Now, I've also heard from doctors on TV, the same ones that I trust, and they said the odds of these teachers getting sick from these kids was de minimis. They probably don't need to be vaccinated in order to get the schools open, but you know what? What they do need, if they're not being vaccinated, is they need the kids to be socially distanced. Kids need to be wearing the mask. They need to have a good ventilation system. Well, I don't know how much Chicago's changed since I left there, but you don't have any control over ventilation in most of the schools in Chicago. They didn't plan for COVID or for Ebola or any of those things. They built schools for kids to sit, crowded classrooms, no mask. And ventilation, listen, you were either warm or you were cold. That's the ventilation you got. It's wintertime, you get heat. It's summertime, maybe you'll get air conditioning. So come on. How could teachers not be in that classification of essential worker? Essential worker, such as first responders, medical personnel. I know medical personnel that will be able or have been able to get their vaccination, even though they don't even really work with anybody. Just so happens they're a nurse or a doctor or some sort of genuine credential, and as a result, if they assert that they have this credential, they will get vaccinated. They don't have to demonstrate, bring in their work logs to show that they're around COVID patients or anything like that. Okay, so it's my circus, it's my monkeys, but man, I am adamant. I am serious as a heart attack. If you're going to go maskless, you hope to God you don't come around me, man. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. There's no need for it, man. I don't care if you believe in masks or not. That's not the point. I don't care if you believe in COVID-19. I don't care if you believe it's a hoax or a pandemic. I don't care. You're going to wear a mask. You're going to do it because we're all doing it. If you don't like it, well, somebody's going to slap you until you feel like, you know what, I need to put a mask on. I've seen people absolutely, unequivocally resist what is coming. I have seen people who had to be whooped repeatedly. I'll give you an insight. Go to any AA meeting anywhere in the world, and you will meet a room full of people who had to be beaten senseless by alcohol and or drugs in order to surrender. Sometimes you just need your ass whooped. I got sober when I got the gift of desperation, right? Good orderly direction, group of drunks, God, whatever you want to call it, man. I had reached the point where I was willing to acknowledge that the only course of action was to go in 12-step recovery. There are people out there, they're going to need to be beaten in submission over this pandemic. It's terrible. It's unfortunate, but it's true. You got anti-vaxxers demonstrating at vaccination sites trying to prevent other people from getting vaccinated. They're not protesting they're getting vaccinated. Nobody asked them to, right? They were protesting and shut down a vaccination site for an hour before they hauled them off. So we might have to lock them up. We might have to slap them silly. I don't know, but this is the way it's got to work. It's got to work. Can't be any ifs, ands, or buts about it. Can't be negotiated. Can't be conversated. It's just got to be, you're going to do this. You're going to put on a mask, keep 6 feet away from me. By the way, so when I went to get my vaccination, I went over to Baylor Hospital, one of their places, and, they were just moving us through this line. You walked up, they said, oh, you at 3 o'clock? And I said, yeah. Okay, just follow these ropes. And it was this, labyrinthine kind of rope set up, like at a movie theater when there's a lot of people. And so I kept moving till I got to the guy in front of me, and then I stopped because he wasn't moving. People in front of him, a couple of people in front of him were moving. I'm like, oh. So I'm standing there a little disoriented, and then I realized, you know what? I shouldn't be right on this guy. I had my mask. Everybody had a mask on. You couldn't get in. They took your temperature, asked you some questions before they let you in the COVID site, right? So I backed up. I looked down. There were markings on the floor. Please stand here, 6 feet away. A guy comes up right behind me, gets real close to me. Same thing that I went through. I saw the wheel spinning, and he said, oh, I'm sorry. And he backed up. He realized, it was just a slip. It was nothing intentional. Nobody was like, trying to breathe down your neck. It was all once everybody was, and then when the room in front of us got cleared, they let us all in as a group. When I was in St. Louis back in December, I think. No, October. It was October. And Ricky and I stopped at the Lowe's Hotel in downtown St. Louis. And I'm standing there talking to this lady, the counter, what do you call clerk, whatever. Very nice lady. And, she's giving me some information. And this young man came in, and he got up right behind me. I kind of looked at him. I had my mask on, and I was busy listening to her, and I hadn't really come up with a plan for him. I was going to have a plan for him. And then she looked at him and said, you need to step back, sir. Do not get that close to him. And he was like, oh, okay. So she took the initiative. And then this couple came in, and I talked about this back when I got in from St. Louis. Walked in the door, couple, looked to be in their 40s, and they didn't have masks on. And she immediately grabbed 2 masks, started walking towards them and said, I'm sorry, you have to have masks. And they said, no, we're sorry, we have masks. Because a lot of times, especially months ago, people forgot to even carry masks with them. It wasn't that they were trying to be a jerk. It's just not part of our daily routine. I still sometimes find myself without a mask. But now I've put masks everywhere. I bought a mask for all my bicycles have masks on them. My vehicle has a mask in it, so that no matter what mode of transportation I take, I have mask with me. I hated the feeling of getting to the store and realizing, oh, crap, I got to go home. Lisa says, I'm tired of these jerk-offs that refuse to keep their distance. Yeah, we're all tired of it. And if somebody's not tired of it, then they're not quite on board with us yet. And they're going to need to come around. If somebody's listening to this and somebody doesn't find it tiresome after a year of dealing with people who are not taking it seriously. Texas Congressman Jim Wright, who bullies his way without a mask in the House, just died. I didn't know he was one of these maskless bullies, by the way. They didn't mention that. I saw that he had passed, and I knew he was Republican. I knew he'd been around a long time. He was an older guy. So I was wondering about that, if he was one of the maskless, because it's all Republicans that are going without masks. Now, why this is a political thing, don't know. Yeah, well, he had cancer, but, the news reports all said he died from his COVID. So, anyways, I didn't mean to go on that tear. Here's what happened. I had a completely different show planned. No, I didn't. I didn't have any show planned. Anyways, I didn't have this plan. And what happened was, when I saw that guy, you get a notice on Facebook, something, and I looked, it said this guy responded to you. So I looked, and he's calling me an idiot, and I'm like, yeah, go screw you. You know, everybody on the internet's a big shot, man. They all feel like they're 6'5" and they got ham-sized fists. You know, screw you. You know, they feel there's so many. It's mostly men that talk as if they're standing next to you in a bar and they're twice your size and they're trying to set you right. Okay, having been in that bar so many times with that guy twice my size and having to, do something. If you're going to do it to me on the internet as well, you might as well be in the bar. I'm going to tell you the same thing, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like, don't troll me. I got stuff for you. Problem is, I've got more wit than most of those guys, so it feels bad. You're picking on somebody who really doesn't have the intellectual skills to fight with you on the internet, and it almost feels like you're picking on them. So I just reduced it to screw you, because any moron knows what screw you means, right? I don't have to sit there and go, listen, the difference between power and authority. What I did with you, I wouldn't waste my breath doing that to this guy. First off, I don't know him, so I don't care if he understands me. Okay? But that's what I'm saying. I don't need to rationalize. I don't need to justify. All I need to do is just say, well, that's just crazy. Whether you believe it or not, it's just crazy. How do I know it's crazy? Because I'm watching people who know what they're doing, who know what they're talking about, say, put on a mask, keep 6 feet away, and wash your hands a lot. And no one person should have to be in the position of enforcing that with the public. We are the public. We should be the force du jour. We should be what makes this happen. People should know that if they wish to go maskless in our communities, we won't tolerate it. Now, there are communities where if you're the one that's saying something about the maskless person, you might get your ass whipped, like if you're in Iowa or southern Missouri or Oklahoma. I suggest you put your mask on, put two on, get in your car, put the vehicle on, put it in drive, and get the hell out, because you're not going to win in that environment. You know what I'm saying? But if you're at Target or Kroger or Safeway, and somebody's bullying the help, man, no. Anyways, so what I do want to point out to you now that I've finished with that rant, I know that went on longer than I meant it to. So I listed some songs, and I want to explain why I have my musical choices. So last week I posted something by Paul Revere and the Raiders called Kicks. It's a cool song. I liked it. But I also liked a couple of other songs they did. So I went and looked up two of them that I was missing. One is Just Like Me, and the other is Hungry. And they were both pretty good songs at the time. I mean, they're still good songs. I just hadn't heard them in years. It's not the ones they play. So I played it. And then I came across the Turtles' You Baby. And I thought, that's cool. See, I dig that. So hopefully you will listen to music.
Live TV from 85 plus channels.
Here, I'm gonna do it for you, right?
Try it free.
Yeah. Get through the commercial, all right?
From the time I fall asleep till the morning comes, I dream about you, baby. And I feel alright, 'cause I know tonight I'll be with you, baby.
Yeah, right? Now, I hope that tickled your funny bones, right? And you already listened to the music. East Texas. Yeah, at least I don't go to East Texas. I'll take your word for it. By the way, I mean, good, bad, or indifferent, whether you believe in guns or not, I guess one of the reasons I talk like a big shot probably is because not only do I have a gun, but I'm really well trained, and I'm sane. So I posted a thing about gun control the other day, and Ginny, she said, I thought you haven't had to use a gun in I think she either said ever or in 25 years, something like that. And I knew what she meant. And I said, no, what I probably said to you is I've never had to shoot anybody or fire my gun at anybody since I got my concealed handgun license, but I've used it. In other words, I have drawn a firearm while in a seemingly escalating violent encounter, and I have said to somebody upon the presentation of the gun, leave me alone, I'll kill you. And it always worked. In fact, one of my better anecdotes is Lori, my second wife, and I, we were at a gas station, and this guy got pissed at us. It wasn't real clear what he was pissed about, but so he started yelling at us. So I stopped the car and I said, "What?" And he said, "I'll kick your ass, mother." And so I got out of the car and I said, well, what's your problem? And he said, I'm going to kick your ass, he said. And he started walking towards me. I'd gotten out of the car. Lori was in the car. And, I drew back and I said, if you keep coming, I'm going to shoot you. And I had a 45 on, and he stopped. And here's the part of the anecdote I want to share with you. He said, if you didn't have that gun, I'd kick your ass. And I said, that's what I was thinking too. I was thinking you were going to kick my ass if I didn't have the gun. Thank you. He proved my point. I did what I needed to do to prevent an ass kicking. Namaste. So I may be a little bolder than some people because I'm, kind of more secure in my environment because I've created that environment for myself. But, I would encourage everybody here to carry pepper spray, even if you go out for a walk with your dog or whatever. I don't know. Grew up in Chicago, 43 years there. I carry pepper spray if I have nothing else. Somebody asked me the other day, they saw I had pepper spray on my keychain, and she said, it's Cynthia. We were walking together. That's my Tuesday walk. And she said, why do you have that? And I said, because you don't always want to shoot somebody. I mean, if I can get away with pepper spraying you, i.e., a lower level of force, then I'm not trying to kill anybody. What I trained people for all the time that I was training in firearms was to stop the threat. If simply displaying a firearm stops the threat, stop there. If you need to pull the weapon and put it at the low ready to control the situation. If you need to shoot somebody, you don't shoot to kill. People always say, like, well, why doesn't the officer do this? Why doesn't the officer do that? Well, because we train everybody. We train everybody to shoot at the target they can hit. That's the chest, okay? So we teach them, shoot at the largest target for a variety of reasons I won't get into right now. So here's what happens. You shoot to the chest. If that works and they stop, okay, they fall down, you don't walk over and shoot them again. You've stopped them. Maybe they're still alive. Call 911, get some help for them, okay? So if pepper spray does it, I will tell you, I'm a big, big fan of pepper spray. And I want everybody to know why. Because if you pepper spray somebody and it works, there's a couple of advantages to pepper spray over nothing. Pepper spray can be shot 10 to 15 feet away. This means you don't have to have a physical contact with the person. Your spray is making contact. Most of the time, the spray will be very adequate. It will make somebody, their eyes will tear up dramatically. They will have mucus pouring from their body, and they will usually be deterred. This is good. They may be angry. That's not your problem. Spray them again. But here's the thing. Let's say somebody accused you of improperly using force against that person. I want to assure you, as your lawyer, when we get to court and the victim takes the stand, now we know he's a perpetrator. That's why we sprayed him. But here's the point. He's sitting there. He doesn't have, his eyes aren't watering. He doesn't have mucus pouring out of his nose and stuff. He looks normal. Well, what happened? Well, it pepper sprayed me. And the jury goes, yeah, I don't know that that's that big a deal. In other words, they're normal. Now, that's a whole lot better than one, showing morgue shots, I can assure you, or two, person lifts their shirt and says, well, that's the bullet hole. Okay? Pepper spray is a good choice unless you think pepper spray won't work and you think you need to shoot them, in which case you resort to shooting them or whatever it is you need to do. Run. Running's good too. I've been known to run from all kinds of trouble. Feet don't fail me now. Go, baby, you know. But I don't run that well. So anyways, now you know how I feel about maskless people who don't listen to my music. And when I say my music, I really mean, you know, Paul Revere and the Raiders or the Turtles. The Turtles' better song than You Baby, although that's the name of tonight's show, is really Happy Together. But I have played that. I've posted it on the internet a couple of times over the years. I wanted to go with stuff I hadn't heard in a long time. I hadn't heard any one of those three songs that I posted tonight in quite a while. Sam thinks that that was a funny story at the gas station. But with Sam, you don't know what that means. I don't know if he thinks it was funny that the guy wanted to kick my ass, or that when he said, I'd kick your ass if you didn't have the gun. And my answer was, well, that's the point. By the way, he called me a sea sucker. And I don't want to say it. I don't want to offend everybody, but he called me that. He called me that. That was the first thing he called me when I got out of my vehicle. And so I said to him, I don't even know you, much less would I have performed a sexual act on you. You know, have we been out on a date? And that really messed up his mind. You know, he's calling me this sexual profanity. And instead of going, I'm not one of the, you know, I'm like, well, I don't know you well enough to do that to you. And then he really got mad. And that's when he said, I'm going to kick your ass. So I may have instigated some of that by not reacting appropriately to having been called a sea sucker. All right. Thank you, Rose. I'm glad you like it. And you know, I wish I would react when you say stuff, but I usually react after the podcast is over. I go through and I see things, and that's when I react. I probably should try to do a better job of, hi, Becky and Chris. I don't think I acknowledged you, Sean, Lisa. You're all, I mean, you know, I'm just so grateful. You know, because when, here's the thing. The day ends, right? 6 o'clock, the day's winding down, it's getting dark, right? And we have these petty things. In other words, whatever frustration we've had during the day, for me, I start the day 6:30 meditation 2 days a week. Then most days I go to an AA meeting. Good way to start the day. Start out with kind of a spiritual program, being reminded of spiritual principles, which I try to practice in all my affairs, right? This talk of violence, that's about something that escalated. That's not about something I instigated, okay? So I like starting off the day in a spiritual community. And then, you know, things tend to be okay. But as the day goes on, you're getting news. You're finding out about, you know, some jackass that went into Target and yelled at somebody who was cleaning carts, right? And then you try to, you know, you wrote something on Facebook that you thought was fairly reasonable, like, well, you're a jerk to say that that's okay. And then, you know, they call you an idiot. So it escalated. Now it's 6 o'clock. I'm a little wired, right? I'm like, let me at him. I'll kick your ass, you son of a bitch, you know. Instead, I had you people, man. I vented Vini Vidi Vici, right? Vini Vidi Vici. That's Latin for I came, I saw, I conquered. I don't know how to say I came, I saw, and I let go of it. So it's Veni Vidi something. How's that? All right. It's 6:45. I got to go. It's time to wrap up, isn't it? Thank you, Sam, for clarifying. Sam, and Debbie Klemenko and Kathy Corsi, and is anybody else here from Hyde Park? No, that's it for now. You know, we got a pretty good showing from Hyde Park today. All right, South Side of Chicago. Rules. Stone to the bone. I'm a D to the knee. I'm a sex machine. Know what I mean? Watch me now while I do my thing. Okay. I bring my hands together before my heart. I encourage you to do the same thing just for the moment. It's cool. Close your eyes. Bow your head. It's as if you're praying or reflecting and thinking to yourself along with me, may I be happy, healthy, free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. May this practice lead us to a life of greater comfort and peace. May my mother and father, and for most of us, that means they've passed, wherever they may be, and to all our living relatives and all our friends, we send loving kindness. May they be happy and healthy and free from harm. May they too find a path that leads them to freedom from suffering. May those persons I harbor ill will towards, for whatever reason, let me refrain from judging them in this moment. May they be happy, healthy, free from harm, enjoying lives of peace and comfort and joy. And to all living beings throughout the universe, wherever they may be, humans and non-humans, may they be happy, healthy, free from harm. May all living beings live their lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Well, thank you, Lisa and Mark and Ann and Rachel and Kathy and Rose and Sam and Chris and Becky. I'll bet you're still here. I see Rose, Radine, yeah, Sean, Donna. Good fun, man. It was nice seeing some. I know I didn't see you, but I feel like I was with you. All right. Y'all stay safe. Namaste. See you tomorrow.